what Quado is making us now look at flowback. We've never looked at historically before, so we were trying to find, it's not authorized anywhere in our like PBR standard permit universe, and so we're trying to find a way to authorize. And so one of the ideas was to include it in MSS, which is why we came here to talk to them to see if they thought that was a good idea or not, and to get their feedback on it. And so that was one of the avenues we are looking at for authorization of flowback. Whether or not it ends up in the rule,
from that perspective, I think
will kind of depend on how these meetings go, and discussing with.
Well, and ultimately it's up to our commission.
Yeah,
but if there's
something that
maybe
the sense I got today was that we're looking at flowback, but that's still an unknown monster. I mean, is it in general that
it seemed to me gathered two different ways. That one person thought it was an unknown monster, whereas another person said, "You're already controlling those, and it's not much." And so that's and that's the sense I got from a couple people thought it was going to be a big deal, whereas other people were like, well,
one guy said it depends on where it's at. He might be talking wet versus dry, so I don't know. I just want to make sure.
But it seems, he was just saying no. He's like you said, like,
I know.
What's going to come out of flowback?
The unfortunate part is some of these other requirements
you talked to that guy, he was like, we're controlling that with flare anyway, so the emissions from that really don't look like they're much.
Well, and that's the
real
thing,
viable way
if you comply with the new source performance standards, the way EPA's got them set up, the emissions we're talking about,
there's not a viable way
they're small.
They're very
small.
small.
And that's, it's like, okay, so at that point, and that's just one of the other questions, do we need to worry about them? I mean, the bigger question is, do we have authority, do we have jurisdiction? There's a lot of questions.
My understanding about green completions is that there's a magic number, and the drillers won't tell us what it is, where it is a liquid to gas ratio before they say, okay, it's sellable, let's connect it to the pipeline. And I want to know how much has it been volatilized in my airshed, and if the EPA is understanding, that's the piece I want covered. Because they can be compliant to the EPA rule at the time they connect to the green completions that I did it, but up to point A to the I did it point, how much has been emitted? That's what I'm breathing.
And that's definitely something that we would like EPA to clear up, like what they consider saleable. That magic number. But that's something EPA was going to have to tell us with this rule. I would think it's not something.
How many comments did they get?
Oh, good. I read the 600 pages of them, but I can't say how many they got. And that was just the first iteration. That wasn't even after they republished, where I know a lot more comments have come out.
Well, I have a unique, not quite unique, this is the second time Chesapeake has done this. They haven't put the pipeline in, which of course is general in rural areas. They frack and drill first, where they drill and frack first. But here by the Cowboy Stadium and over there, somewhere in Arlington on Bowen and Division, they fracked in December. They didn't flow back till March, because I guess between that time the pipeline came in. And someone very close to that site, she was working and she stepped out in her parking lot and she was sickened by this, what they called stale flowback. And the way she described it, it knocked her breath away. She had to go inside. She couldn't breathe till she puked. 911 came, gave her oxygen. Her blood pressure was soaring. And we think that it was some kind of biogenic, bacterial growth that had happened under the ground for the 3 months, all that sat back down there. So I'm wondering if we've got something flow back on crank when it sits in the ground for 3 months. Well, that's what's happening 2 blocks from my house, and they won't put that pipeline in until December, right by the Cowboy Stadium. So come 1st of January, we might have this awful smelly flow back that could make people sick. And I don't even know if the EPA is addressing that. Because they can have their green completions ready to go.
I can't think of anything.
I mean, what can be happening to that fluid? So they've rejected it back into the ground, is what you're saying? It's still, they fracked and left it all down there.
That's one of the...
For 3 months.
Putting it back into the ground or into another well is one of the options under Quado. After, one of the options for flowback control is control the flare.
Well, no, they haven't flowed it back up. And I talked to the Railroad Commission, they said, well, usually you frack and you flow back. And I'm like, no, in my case, I was told they would frack, leave it down there, because they did that one time in another site that had borrowed water from Fort Worth illegally. They stopped their operation, and they were in a stage 2 frack, left it in the ground, and 2 months later they got approval to resume their operations. So it's not enough, for me, Chesapeake can frack and leave it in the ground and flow back at their little heart's desire. I'm not sure who's regulating how long that can stay in the ground.
Yeah, I don't know, because we're air, I can't.